Live. I believe we are now live. Potentially. Maybe. Hey, there we go. Now we're live. Hey, YouTube always takes a minute to catch up when I hit go live, but we are here now. Welcome in, folks. Hello. And with the VZBot angle going real quick, and then we will be ready. Got a few things to catch up on from the last time we worked on this build. And yeah, all right. Where are we at here? Meh, whatever. Okay. Hello. Welcome in. All right. Tail air. Connection. Cool. Get the VZBot like set up where it needs to be. Okay. Now we should be pretty good. Okay. Anyway. We have to get a heat break installed in the Goliath Hotend for the VZBot build. The VZBot came without a heat break, so we've got a Bluetooth heat break in it right now. I'm going to get this out of the way, the machine out of the way for a moment, and we'll work on that. We'll come back to the machine itself. Oh, I really shouldn't be picking this thing up and putting it down so much. It is definitely getting very heavy. Very quickly. Double motors, double power supplies, everything. We'll do that. How's everybody's Sunday going? How is everybody's Sunday going? I am dragging so far. Bluetooth 4 or 5? Bluetooth 6. So, yes, high-end Bluetooth on this thing. Is that a squirrel? Let's see. Let's see if the camera will pick this up. I mean, you can see, well, it looks like there's a heat break in there, but that's a stud. When I turn it this way, you can see there's no heat break in there. There is no heat break in there. Some folks said that maybe, they ship without a heat break so that they get around the patent issues. But I don't see a heat break anywhere. No, there's just no heat break. Yes, it is supposed to get a piece of PTFE that goes into the heat break, but there should be a regular heat break in there. So we're going to be installing one. Right here it is. I got just a Amazon one. It's not the correct one for a Goliath, but it will work. I talked to Simon. As soon as I realized this, I talked to Simon about it. And I believe Simon's sending me a new heat break, the proper heat break, as well as an extruder for my build. But yeah, he pointed me to like the specs for what size heat break I needed for this, so I was able to get one that will work. It's not the right one, but it will work. So, silly. I mean, maybe the heat break came with my kit somewhere, but I don't know. I don't see it. So, but of course the project has exploded across the workbench, so who knows? I never remember seeing it. Ugh. I am dragging. We went to a show last night, and Jake, welcome in. Jake, hello. Thank you for the PDF. No problem. I'll get that added to the zip. Actually, it's added to the zip already. I should just upload the new zip file too. Well, I've got a few additions to the Mod 10 that I would need to get out there, at least for supporters. I'm not going to add them to the purchasable files yet, but the skeletonized frame I'll probably add. Probably add the skeletonized frame files. So anybody who cares about a little more airflow on their build. I've got these files. They're ready to go, I believe. I haven't built a full build with these yet, but they're as rigid as the regular files, or almost. So I feel confident they will be fine. I feel like this camera could use one step brighter. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. So yeah, I'll get files updated for channel members and Patreon supporters. All right, let's get this heat break replaced. Uh-oh. Why did that just drop out? Why did the VZBot drop out? Dang it. I moved it and now it just doesn't want to work. Ugh. 1 second while I get the VZBot working again. I want to use this angle for... replacing the heat break. So I need to see what I'm doing here. Restart this. Okay. There we go. Yay. Cool. Ay, technical difficulties. Cool. All right. Goliath Hotend. Gotta get the boot off. Oh, I gotta pull the thermistor. Thermistor's gotta come out because that's in the way of the boot coming off. I forgot about that. Thermistor's gotta come out. Carrie, welcome in. Come on. All right. Now the boot can come off. There's a closer look at the heater assembly, the resistive wire heater assembly that wraps around the body so elegantly. I feel like there's more room for it to engage back here, and it should be. Whatever. Okay, so now I need to get these standoffs off. So I need to hold these. There's a screw. Looks like that's going into a standoff. Do I need to hold the standoff? Probably. Let's do a fixed focal distance, maybe. Autofocus off. Just want to get focus kind of set so it's not jumping around. Oh, you got a new decorated version of a stealth burner face on the on Discord. Cool. Check it out after stream. All right, where am I here? Okay, so I need to hold these and find what size those are. It looks like 2mm. Grab a screwdriver. No, those aren't 2mm. 1.8. Oh no, but 2. Yeah, it's 2. Okay. It is 2. I got the Bluetooth Goliath version. Yeah. Anybody joining in later, you can see the Bluetooth heat break in there. Doing a lot. Doing a lot. All right. At least it's not the Wi-Fi edition, you know? At least it's not the Wi-Fi edition. Back off. Back the camera off. Now we got a close view. 100% no heat creep version. You are right. I don't know if this version would be very good for flexibles, but it would be good for no heat creep. That is a very fair point. Definitely heat creep free. I think they could have the... At least it's not a waifu edition. Well, now we're just getting weird. Now we're just getting weird. All right. Cool. All right. So I got just a random Policy, whatever the heck brand, titanium, supposedly, heat break off Amazon for now. So thread this into here. Make sure it's good and tight in there. Probably going to do this real quick. Just try. Make sure it's seated in there. There's no wrench flats on this one, so. All right, that is in there. Now I need a little bit of thermal paste. Where'd thermal paste go? Did I put it away? Probably put it away. Guess I put it away. Yeah, here we go. Thermal paste. And a little shot of thermal paste on there. Little nugget fell out. Stuck to my fingers. Okay, I'm gonna smear it inside the heat break bore on the heatsink a little bit. I just had a whole thing of those little swabbies from Slice. Let me see if I can find those real quick. I've got a whole thing of those Q-tips that Slice sends with their thermal paste. I know I do. There they are. There they are. So if anybody's unfamiliar, Slice sends with thermal paste. You get these little Q-tip swabbies so you can like apply it better to the inside of a bore like this. So that's what I'm doing. A little bit of thermal paste to aid heat transfer between these two. Put just a little more on there. So I'm not 100% about this heat break, so I want to be sure I'm not heat creeping the instant we go from Bluetooth to a wired connection. We're going, I like to direct wire everything, cable to everything, Ethernet on all the things, so want to make sure that we're not running into packet loss issues. Okay, now we can reinstall this. This is so silly. All right, boom, cool. Now we will have a heat break. I really worry that that's going to heat creep. Because, okay, the reason that this is not the right heat break for this application is it's too short. This is like 2 or 3 millimeters too short on the copper section. So it's not fully seating down inside of the heatsink, meaning there's a little bit less contact to the heatsink body than the proper Goliath one would have. As I said, Simon's sending me a proper Goliath one, and I might bug Mellow about this. It should have come in the kit, obviously. So I might ask them to make it right, but either way, Simon is sending one over. So all right, I'm just going to put one of these in here just lightly to keep this lined up. Great, cool. Oh, there's a question for folks. Stream question, chat question. The Voron X-400. What would you like to see more of with that machine? Full transparency, just like open and honest with you folks as I try to be. They want to sponsor another video. And I'm like on the fence about it because I could really use the money. But also like, I don't want to just like keep making X400 videos. And I also definitely don't want to do like a whole nother, let's print some random big stuff for my house video. So I don't really know what to do. I don't necessarily have a project that I think makes sense for that. But I'm open to it. I just need to find the right seat to put it with. I was thinking about maybe doing a I got another Voron 2.4 build, which I don't know if I've shown that on chat yet. I did that the other day. Any good mods for it yet? No, and I'm sure they wouldn't like me making a video about that. I'm sure that's not what they want to see me make a video about. Wow, that one doesn't look like it's lining up now. Wonder if the heat break is holding it funky. I mean, I'm going to be, this has been sitting here forever, I'm going to be putting an A4T on it. Tool head. I love to see large parts with metal supports. Oh, like I've done in the past, yeah. The one thing that I pitched to them already, I mean, I do have an electronics workbench I want to build. I'm going to replace this toolbox most likely with a workbench. So like I can get some stuff off of this bench, move it over there. So I don't have quite as much clutter here and have like another space to work off of. So I guess maybe I could integrate some workbench stuff like that into a video. That's not a bad idea. Oh. Yeah, maybe I could do the workbench video. That might not be a bad choice, because I have a couple of things with that, I guess. Electronic workbench would be cool to see. Yeah, that, you know what, maybe I'll pitch that project, because I've got a couple things. I've got another mod 10, so I'm intending to build myself another mod 10 that I put computers inside of, not just switching hardware. So probably a full ITX computer build inside of it, and that's going to probably get mounted on the wall over there, like maybe in the middle of the space. I'm not 100% yet. Maybe off to the left over here. So mod 10, another mod 10 is going to get built, mounted on the wall over there. Then the workbench with a monitor. The computer will be inside of the mod 10, so it'll have a whole nother computer set up. And then the goal is to have like another camera area for streams too. So like I'll have like an overhead camera. So when we're doing something like this, maybe I'll have a dedicated overhead camera there. And we can, when we're doing this type of thing, we can move over to that, have the overhead view, and then come back over here when we're back to working on the main project or whatever. So it's part of the thought. That's not a bad idea. Thank you. That I don't feel bad about. Okay. Tighten these screws. I put a little dab of Loctite on these. It's not high temp Loctite, so it's not the ideal choice. Did I put any on this? But something's better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. I didn't put Loctite on one of them. Didn't put Loctite on one of them. Ah. Cool. Okay. All right, all right. And tight, tight. 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 Cool. Okay, now we have a heat break in there. We actually have a heat break. What a novel concept. No more Bluetooth. All right. That done. Slip this boot back over here. Silicone boot definitely fits really nicely on this build. Or build, the Goliath, the Hotend. Alright, put a little dab of thermal paste back in the bore for the thermistor. And then we can put the thermistor back in. Maybe we put the thermistor back in. There we go. Seemed funky, but it's going in properly. Second I thought it cross-threaded, but it did not. Second I thought it did, but it didn't. Is this nozzle tight in here? No, it is not. What nozzle is this? 0.4. I think it's 0.4 non-high flow. Yeah. 0.4 floor? 0.4 non-high flow. I'm going to put a little... should I swap this out for a CHT? Should I swap this for a CHT 0.4? I just got some new ones in. I ordered from Slice Engineering had a sale. Pretty sure I just got in new CHT high flow wrap. Non-high flow with a heater that long? Well, the problem is that Mellow can't get any high flows that are good and not under patent. So they would have to be buying Bondtech high flows to include with them, so they just don't. Also, hello all, just another 3D printing guy. Welcome in. Also, I have not tested this, but I have found in my previous testing that higher flow hotends produce error. Benefit less from high flow nozzles due to the melt. I think the logical reason that I can come up with for this is because of the length of the melt zone. By the time the filament reaches the splitter point in a high flow hot end, or the area that's meant to apply or put more heat into the plastic's already molten. So you're really not doing a whole lot by that point. That's been my anecdotal evidence. Like I think the hot end that I've had the absolute highest percentage gain from a CHT nozzle on was like a stock Ender 3 Mark 8 hot end. I want to say that increased by like 80% flow rate, whereas like a Dragon high flow improved by like 4 millimeters cubic or something like that. So like the difference is pretty drastic. I do remember when Steve was building his, the Goliath has some real ooze. I mean, the Goliath is going to have ooze. Just so much melt zone. Carrie, what size? Well, I've got 0.6. I've got 0.4. I have 0.5, but I don't think I have 0.5 in... I was going to put a wear-resistant version in here. So I've got the hardened ones. I was going to put one of those in. One of the official Bondtech CHT hardened nozzles. But I don't see a 0.5. I think 0.5 is the sweet spot on this build, personally. 0.6 makes sense, but I think 0.5 will allow me to get a little bit smaller detail. I've only got a 235 build volume. I think that's the right choice. Let me see real quick if I have it. I thought I did. CHTs. I mean, I know I have 0.5s here. Question is, it must be in this bag. 0.5 is the recommended, yeah. I wish Basel nozzles would come back. That seems like the perfect option for a VZ. 0.5. I only have 0.5 in brass. I don't have it in the hardened tip. That's kind of what I thought. I only have it in brass right now. So I think for the moment, I'm going to put 0.4 in. I'm going to put a 0.4 CHT hardened tip in. I kind of just want to put a hardened tip in this just to be like done. I could put a nozzle in it, and for, you know, hundreds of kilograms, I don't have to worry about it. Kind of what I'm thinking with this one. Especially with how fast I expect this to go. I'm worried about the nozzle dragging across prints and wearing as a result. So let's go with a 0.4 high flow, and I will see about getting a 0.5 hardened high flow. And I kind of just want to see what it's going to flow, what it's going to do with a 0.4 nozzle. This wrench, adjustable. I should just have a wrench from the freaking bench for this, but here we are. I think I'd have a nozzle wrench handy. Okay, that's in there. It'll need a hot tighten, but it's in there for now. It's a little dirty because I had ran this in the rat rig. I took this out of the rat rig, which has a 0.8 in it currently, so it's a little dirty, but it's a barely used hot end. Barely used. Okay. 0.4s. That's an expensive bag right there. All 0.4 millimeter volcano and regular length CHT nozzles. And 2.5s. Yeah. Okay, these can go back in their home. Let me see if they have 0.5 hardened. I thought they do. You know what it probably was? It was probably, I think it was that Bondtech, not Bondtech, Slice Engineering had a nozzle sale recently, and I ordered some new ones from that. But I think they might have been out of 0.5s. Yeah, 0.5 hardened exists. So 0.5 hardened CHTs. So I'll get some coming. At $40 a nozzle, maybe I'll get some coming soon. I love CHT nozzles, but oof, are they harsh. Price-wise. All right, we no longer have a Bluetooth heat break in here. Yay. Which I guess means we're ready to put this in. I guess it means we're ready to put this back in. All right, thermistor wires. Nomad, welcome in, Nomad. Hello, good morning. I didn't have any luck with the AliExpress CHT nozzles. I have found the AliExpress CHT nozzles to be pretty much garbage, in my opinion. I think they're basically e-waste. Oh, that reminds me. Something interesting I found. Well, I ordered this week. I did not find it. It was found via the finder of all random weird things on AliExpress, Utron. So close to being done your new desk. I saw the frame you and Mitch were working on, looking sick. Apparently there's a new hot end. Error. Grabbing a link. There is a new hot end that works. I am just lost this morning. We went to a show last night, and I am way too old to be going to shows. There we go. Hey, by rule, I don't buy anything on AliExpress that heats up. All right, I guess I can get that. I don't care, but I guess I can get that. It's the only place that currently this exists, is the only thing. So it's a CHC. It's called a BLV CHC. CHC is usually Triangle Lab, but this doesn't seem to be Triangle Lab, but it's probably Triangle Lab. Anyway, it is a bamboo hot end, a new high-flow bamboo hot end that uses... Why am I not screen sharing? It is a new bamboo high-flow hot end that uses rep-wrap nozzles. It's the only one I know of that accepts rep-wrap nozzles, supposedly while still being the proper length. Those other ones you can install rep-wrap nozzles in, and yeah, so. And the melt zone on this looks insanely long. Like that whole thing is melt zone. So actually, if you look at it closely in this picture, the heater cartridge is actually up inside Your link brings up another copy of the stream. Ah, yes, it does. I hate when that happens. Get link, copy. I swear copy only works half the time on Windows. I don't know why. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. I'm really curious about this thing because the melting zone is so long. The heater cartridge is actually up inside of the heatsink body. So like the heat break is all the way up here. And then the rest of this is just melt zone. They're claiming 40 millimeters cubed out of this. I'm thinking with a true Bondtech CHT, we might have something that rivals the flow rate of the E3D Obsidian. Anyway, I ordered one of these because I finally have all the hot ends that I intended to do my bamboo hot end roundup on. The Mako from Slice Engineering. Right back. I'm going to grab it. The Mako from Slice Engineering arrived this week. So that was the last one I was really waiting on. But then I've been waiting so long on the Mako from Slice that a handful of other options popped up on the market. So the Mako arrived this week. So it's got that metal cased fan to help with the heatsink area. My Rapido UHF can do that easily with a CHT. Yes, but your Rapido UHF is not this big. That's the thing. Like, we're talking about hot ends within this footprint that are flowing 50, 40. Like, the fan is neat, but they put this fan on because they're having heat creep issues. So they needed the extra surface area, the extra cooling capacity. This one also has the heater cartridge a little bit up inside of there. Not quite as much, it looks like, as that one we're looking at. And it's only $40. Yeah, this one's not $40. I think this is 100, but uses the new fin nozzle from Slice. It's a new open standard, but yeah. Quick question. Your Voron can upgrade. Did you move to sensorless homing? No, I hate sensorless homing. I did not. My machine is and always has been sensored homing and will continue to be. I don't like sensorless homing. Personally, I find it ever so slightly inconsistent. Where do you put the X-endstop? On the back of the carriage. Switch wire X-endstop. It goes in the switch wire location. So let's see if we can find a picture of it quick. That's not quite right, but stealth burner. Actually, wait. 2209, Big Tree Tech, can. So if we look at the documentation, I'm pulling it up quick just to show. Actually, the Big Tree Tech documentation shows, oh my gosh, where is the link here, Big Tree Tech? The location for the X-endstop. Another thing I hate, inconsistency in links to documentation. You can load. Build guide, sure. Manual. I hate this load more pages, and then on GitHub without fail. It's probably going to happen before we reach what I'm looking for. Eventually, you keep hitting more pages and it doesn't keep loading. Okay, it's not, well, it will show it in a second here, but right here on the back of the Stealth Burner X carriage, there is a location for an X-endstop. That is an X-endstop location already on the Stealth Burner X carriage. There it is. So here's the section of the documentation that shows it mounted. There it is. You loop it up through there and boop, plug it into the board. So that's what I do. That is what I do. Okay. we can grab the VZBot back up here and get back to this. So yeah, I'm going to start moving to Nighthawk. Can't figure that part out. Same location with the Nighthawk will work. And yes, so Slice Hotend showed up, and Bamboo Hotend testing for a full, complete guide, as complete as I can find. I'm looking for any other Hotend options that might be on the market that I have missed, but we will be doing a full test. And I fully intend to make a dedicated blog post about it too. We're working on a new website with a blog. And so you can watch a video about the roundup of Bamboo Hotends, and then we will have we'll be just in time for the hype of the new one coming out. Yeah, actually, really, I should get pumping on. Well, I can't. It won't be out for the new machine. Obviously, the Hotend's going to be different, so it's not going to be comparable, but at least the hype will be there. Maybe somebody suggested, I haven't seen it. Somebody said that the H2D announcement is going to be a live stream. Does anybody know if that's accurate or not? James, thank you for the super chat. You are welcome. Happy to help. Thank you for the super chat, James. Somebody said that, yeah, somebody said that the launch of the H2D is going to be a live stream, like a, presentation kind of thing. And if that's true, we could live stream it, like simul stream it, where we have like a little watch party and watch it here. I don't know. I haven't seen that said. All I've seen is they're announcing it 7 a.m. on the 25th. Only thing I saw was the 25th is the official date. Yeah. 25th at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when it's getting announced. Or debuted. That's all I know. So, okay. Oh, get this thing up here. God, this is getting heavy. I need to get a shipping scale to figure out how heavy this thing is. Okay. Now we can put the Hotend back in. Since last stream, I've done a couple things. Let's talk about the few things that I've done on this thing since the last stream. I did work on it off stream. Not a lot, but I did work on it. Things I've done since the last stream. I ended up having to take the bottom panel back off after I put it on stream. The reason I had to take the bottom panel off is the belt. The Z-axis belt. Excuse me. The instructions never said what to do with the belt. They didn't say to put the belt in, but the belt is captive between the Z-axis rod brackets. Let me see if I can if I can get this on camera. So I had to disassemble the Z-axis a little bit to get the belt in. So I had to take the bottom panel off, and then I had to take the bracket off the bottom of here for the Z lead screw off on both sides so I could put the belt in, because it's a closed loop belt. It's kind of in the way. It's a closed loop belt underneath here, and as such, it's not lifting. As such, you can't just feed it through. There's nowhere to feed it through. So I had to take it apart, put the belt in, put the brackets back on, put the bottom panel back on so I could get here. Wasn't in the instructions. I looked again. It's in a video. So like the build guide video that Simon did mentions it, obviously, but not the instructions. I wonder if we can slow you down as much as we did the other day. I guarantee you can. I am already processing very slowly today. So that got done. The other thing that I did, I'll move camera again. The other thing that I did is I swapped the duct. So the part cooling duct on this thing, I swapped that out for a beacon version. Hard to see at the moment, but there's a beacon probe underneath there now. Usually take the Z screw off. Yeah, it seemed easier to me to to do it the way I did, since I was like, I already had the machine up at a point where it was easy to get the bottom panel off. So I just did it. So I swapped out this duct for a beacon mount one, put a beacon probe on it, and I had to measure these standoffs to get the proper length of standoff, and then print these. And they are, you know, rigidly mounting the duct up under here. And also this clip on the back of the tool head that holds the CPAP hose. It's going to be really hard to see here, but it's just this little clip that like holds the CPAP hose to the tool head up here where you can't really see it right now, right here. I remixed this a little bit and I printed it in TPU. Figured it might give it a little better hold. Not 100%. We will find out in the long run. But I think TPU makes more sense for that than a rigid material. I could be wrong. So, okay. Now, we got to put the hot end back in. Actually, I might as well just go right back to that camera view. Might as well stick with this camera view. Put the hot end in. I need a length of Bowden tube. You can be wrong. Believe me, I can be wrong a lot. I have been wrong many a time. I will be wrong many more times. I'm just going to use this flush cuts to mark this a little bit. All right, there's that. I need to measure the length of this. The instructions say 22 millimeter, but I'm not 100% that heat break I got is that's going to be accurate with the heat break that I got. Do you have music playing really quietly? Yeah, there's always music playing quietly in the background in my streams. Whoop. Yeah, there's always music playing quietly in the background of streams. I sadly had to give up on my LDO superpowers, pulled them from my Trident. I couldn't tune out the VFAs. 24 volts helped, but nothing fixed the problem. Well, that's unfortunate to hear, but it's kind of what I've heard from other folks, and I'm worried that's going to be the case for me as well. So if anybody's not familiar with what I just did, thought I was hearing things, yeah. What I just did was I stuck this little length of Bowden tube up all the way into the extruder assembly, and I also did the other end of it. I did the same thing into the heat sink for the hot end, so I can mark on the tube the length that it needs to be inside of each of those. It's like 9.5 millimeters into the extruder and 11.5 millimeters into the hot end. So that gives us what, 21 millimeters? Yeah, so the instructions say to use a 22 millimeter long heat break. Bowden tube. Granted, I'm not using the proper heat break, so that could be why. I'm going to go a little less than 22. I usually make the Bowden tubes that I put into an extruder and hot end, I make them ever so slightly longer than they're supposed to be, so that they really like seat into both ends. So when you bolt things together, it really holds the tube tight to each side. So we're close to 22 millimeter. Use calipers to mark this. Cool. And now I need a Teflon cutter. I like ever so slightly scratched my nail. I'm going to use flush cuts to trim my nail. Okay, I need Bowden tube cutter. Where are you at? There it is. One anyway. Where did I mark you? You look about right. Yes, you are. All right. Cool. And cut. I'm going to put a little chamfer on this with drill bit. I don't see a chamfering bit at the moment, so I'm going to use a drill bit. Put an ever so slight chamfer at the entry point of this tube. So that filament is kind of guided into it. And then I'm going to use a 1.5 millimeter hex wrench to make sure the path is clear. There's no little bits of Teflon inside the tube. Cool. It's a great idea. Yeah, I do that on all of these. I do it on all Bowden tubes, but especially on the ones that go into heat breaks or hot ends heat breaks. Yeah. All right. There we go. Now this goes up to here. And I just need the... What am I hitting? Is it just a little too long, maybe? Looks like I might have made it just a little too long. Yeah. I gotta trim it. Just a hair. Don't knock it. Welcome in. I think a little excess length was just a little too much. Yeah, where's that hex wrench? Clear this out again. It's the only thing is, you know, chamfering a little bit, you can get a little bit of boogies in the tube. So you just got to make sure it's clear when you're done. Cool. All right. Try that again. Yeah, that's better. Now it'll suck in, I think. All right. I'll stick a screw in there just to hold it up. And I'll come back and I will get it with the... Do a reach through. And here I am not doing anything with printers right now, renovating 3 bathrooms, painting entire house and flooring. Oh boy, you got a busy time ahead of you. That is a lot of projects. Don't knock, it's correct. That is a lot of projects. All right, I've got to get back over to Blackthorn today and finish up installation of the security cameras. I started it yesterday and I was supposed to have a video out today, and I hope to still have today's video out on Mandic Really. I designed custom mounts and 3D printed mounts for the security cameras over there. And I need to finish the project because I didn't have the right bit yesterday to drill through the concrete wall. The bit that I took was too short. And of course, my favorite thing ever is drilling through concrete, 1, at all. Freaking hate it. 2, I'm drilling through literally like 18, 20 inches of concrete. And I have to do it up on a ladder right at the ceiling. So I'm like head against the ceiling and I have to, and of course I'm on an extension ladder. So the wall's right here. So the drill is like this behind my head while I'm pushing on it, trying to push it into the concrete. SDS bit and drill. It is an SDS bit and drill, but it's also a heavy SDS drill. So I'm up there like this. My shoulder hurts like hell right now. Fresh bit will be your friend. Brand new bit. A brand new Amazon special bit. Because I'm using a like 1.125" drill bit. I was not paying hundreds of dollars for a drill bit. Kind of regret it, but the problem that I ran into is what I intended to do was I meant to take when you become the fulcrum point at the top of the ladder makes things interesting. Yes, it does. When you're holding onto the ladder with one arm and pushing with the other one, trying to like, yeah. As the ladder comes off the wall, as you're pushing it, yeah. It'll be in the video. But what was what I meant to do was use a longer, smaller bit Oh yeah, a shitty bit will make a job 10 times harder. You're not wrong. It took like an hour to drill 18 inches deep. The problem is the wall must be like 20 inches deep because I bottomed out the drill bit and still didn't punch through the wall. What I had intended to do originally, was take a longer bit and drill through a smaller, much smaller, longer bit, punch all the way through, drill it from one side halfway, drill it from the other side halfway. That's what I meant to do, but I forgot the longer bit. I was like, hopefully this is long enough to punch through. It wasn't, so I've got to go back today with the longer bit, punch a small pilot hole, go outside. Now that it's raining outside, it wasn't raining yesterday, would have been the perfect day to do it, and now finish the hole from the outside. Luckily, I think it'll be easier from the outside because one, it's only going to be a few inches of drilling at the most, but yeah. Even in concrete, drilling a smaller pilot hole helps a lot. Yeah. It would have been a massive help. I just didn't have it. Would have been a massive help. I just didn't have it. I should have wasted the hour to drive round trip back to the house and get it. But I didn't. All right. Hotend is in with the extruder. Cool. And our tube is in there. At that depth, the coring bit would have made sense. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be that depth. Just another 3D printing guy. An SDS drill is a hammer drill. I was using a hammer drill. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah. I was using a hammer drill. It also seems to be pretty tough concrete. It's like right up at the ceiling level, so it's right below the level of where the ceiling joists go into the concrete. I'm sure it's probably a fairly reinforced section. It's not cinder block. It's like poured concrete up there, so. It's not fun. At least you don't have to repair subfloors and drywall from leaks. Yeah, I don't. So I do not feel any envy for you on that. It's also shitty because you have a bad angle of attack of a drill. Absolutely. Terrible angle of attack of a drill. I'd ideally been like 2 feet further back. And that's the thing, like I bought the bit for this project. I knew the bit was going to be like either exactly the right length or just a little short. I knew that. But I did that on purpose because I want to say the next size up was like 6 inches longer. That's fine. I would have punched through the wall, but that 6 inches longer means the drill would have been 6 inches further away from the wall when I started the hole. And I knew I was going to be up on a ladder doing this. So I'm like, no, I want as short of a drill bit as I can get to get this done. It just bit me. It bit me. It didn't bite me with the bit, but it bit me in not getting the project done. At that point, you consider Wi-Fi cameras and solar panel. I know. And you know, the fun part is that, error. Ubiquiti sent Wi-Fi cameras for the shop. They provided cameras for the shop, and they provided 2 Wi-Fi cameras and 1 wired camera. The wired one is the one I used inside the studio. But they don't have solar power. They use USB power. Yes, I said error as I brain farted. Yes, I do that a lot. Yeah, now that you've noticed that I did that, I do that all the time. When I'm brain farting, I'll often say error. 404. Ruby says 404 a lot when she brain farts. She does that. I'm gonna pull the trigger on a new printer. I'm between a RatRig 500 or a Voron 350. I need to print parts 19-inch wide and would like to do it in one piece. I don't know any with, part 1. You don't know anybody with said machines to ask, is I'm assuming where the question's going. LTX Design, I know what my question is going to be. What machines do you have currently? If you need 19-inch wide pieces in single piece, It has to be a 400 millimeter or larger machine. A 350, I don't think is going to do it. A 400 printer will do it at 19 wide. Yes, I have printed 19-inch pieces. So for my server rack on the X400, on the Airy One X400, it's what he says, exterminate. You need to be worried. Yeah, I have printed 19-inch pieces on the X400. They fit fine on the X400. They fit better on the RatRig 500. You know, more room. You need a 400 millimeter bed, in my experience, to do that. So that kind of helps make your decision right there. Yeah, 350 is just a tad shy. Yeah. Okay. Now, how the heck do we route cables in this? Feels so wrong to be bending these wires. RatRig personally, whether it's worth it to print one piece or better to split them. I have P1P and started with an Ender 3. I also run CNCs and lasers if it matters. So you have good technical experience, it sounds like. So between a Voron 350 and a... I just split the pieces. Yeah, you can do it on a smaller bed. You just got to split them. Up to you whether you care about splitting them or not. RatRig 500. Okay, here's the thing. Voron 350. Easier build. All day long. Some things are actually more difficult about building a Voron than a RatRig. Most things about building a Voron are easier. So it's hard to break down the intricacies of what I mean by that, but just take it at face value. It's easier to build a Voron, in my experience, than it is a RatRig overall. RatRig, you're going to do it in one piece. You could build a RatRig 400 and you're going to do it in one piece. Because the reason I say that is the RatRig 500 is a big freaking machine. It's just a big machine. Today, we're not getting a whole lot done today. I know that. So, like, let's just do this. I'm changing the second camera angle, sorry. You'll see what I'm looking at here in any moment now. Okay. Being lazy before I look, but do you have Fusion 360 toot videos? I do not. I don't really have any tutorials. I kind of drop things here and there when it comes to Fusion. The RatRig 500 is a really big machine. Like, you need, realistically, probably a dedicated circuit breaker for this thing. I have a dedicated circuit breaker that only these two machines are on here, a 20 amp breaker, and I wouldn't heat both of them up at the same time. This has a 1500 watt bed heater in it, the RatRig. So it's just a big beast of a machine. You need to consider that. A 400 is going to be, 100 millimeters smaller in every direction. Like this is a 300 Voron up here, and it's just such a smaller machine in comparison. Even a 350 Voron is going to be a lot smaller of a machine physically. Yes, you lose build volume, but you also don't have, like, this is a two-person move at this point. I can lift it myself, but I'm really risking hurting myself every time I do it. So it's a beast. Currently collecting parts for it. It's currently a shelf. And it's just because whatever, I got to get around to finishing it. But it looks like a Micron. Yeah, that's a 300 Trident above it. The thing that looks like a Micron is a 300 Trident. Okay, let's get this camera angle back over here. Where it's meant to be. Oops, sorry, changing camera angles again. Okay. Okay. I blew a 20 amp with mine yesterday. Couldn't believe it. Changed out the breaker. Looks like we're okay now. Brian, yeah, you probably had a weak breaker. That happens. Breakers get weak over time. They trip easier than they should, but yeah. My V-Core 400 IDEX is huge, but I'm running 220 volt. It almost looks like a gig storm. Yeah. That's less rat, more fat rig. Okay, salad fork. Yeah. Okay, salad fork. Okay, yeah. I mean, like, the Trident will fit with it. I mean, obviously, the Trident will fit in the build volume of the rat rig. I like the rat rig. The point of all that was, if you're okay with the space that it takes up, the power requirements, the rat rig is an extremely capable machine. I like it. I'm happy I have it. I don't know if I didn't have a machine today, I don't know that I would pick. If I didn't have, okay, if I personally had a P1P and an Ender 3 and I was looking at a big machine, I would probably go with a rat rig 400. It's probably what I would do. Or the Airy 1 400, X400. But I'm talking about, for me, I would build a machine. I wouldn't necessarily buy the X400. Nothing against the X400. I like it. But I'd like building machines. So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Hope that was like in any way, shape, or form helpful as I ramble and rant about random things that you ask questions about. Okay. I gotta put the fan on this. I keep forgetting about the fan. Hotend fan. Very helpful. Cool. I like building machines more than I like 3D printing. I mean, I agree. I think I'm probably there as well. I think I am most likely there as well. All right, Hotend fan. Wow, the wire on the Hotend fan is very short. How's that going to get from there to there? You have to make an extension. It is a tooty little 24 volt, 25 millimeter or 30 millimeter. Looks like 30, 25 millimeter, little 25 fan. Yeah, I don't print big. I print big often enough, but like obviously, I don't remember last time I printed something on the rat rig. You see the parts piled up on it right now. That's like, I think it's mostly the Python AMS parts sitting on it. So yeah. I'm having difficulty with VFA and printing PETG slower. Does the rat rig have superpowers on the XY motors? My machine is moving and enclosed, so tough to see. No, it has speedy power. I think it has speedy motors. It has LDO speedies. I'm 90% sure. Let me poke my head in there real quick, but it's not superpowers, it's speedy power motors. Yes, speedy powers. Yeah, it is the speedy motors, not the supers. All right, what size screws do we use to put these fans on? This fan on the Hotend. Goliath assembly. Temp sensor. Place the nozzle. There's just written stuff. There's no pictures. Oh, look at that. It doesn't come with a Bluetooth heat break. We recommend a Delta 2510 fan, but Sunon and GDS time can also be used. We recommend to use the flange version of the duct for extra stability. You don't say what size screws. So I'm gonna have to open the CAD, I guess, and reference. Doing so. I'm assuming the 2.5s, they look like they're pretty small, but I don't know. Oh, I have to sign into Fusion. It's annoying that everything these days like requires a login just to run your own stuff locally. I realize Fusion pulls a ton of stuff off the cloud, but yeah. Go. Sup? Welcome in. Welcome in, Lost Inc. Okay. Wiring for... I want to get the whole wiring routed for the hot end assembly. At least like to where it's going to go before we move forward. So I think the next thing we're going to probably do is work on maybe the side panels? Question mark. Not 100% certain. Cut this rubber band off this wire. VZBot build, that's what I'm looking to open. Boom. You see the 3D Mellow now makes a tube to VZBot adapter. No, I haven't seen that. I hadn't seen that. New. Are they knocking off the tube or are they actually just making an adapter? I know, who is it? Is it Triangle that's knocking off the tube? I think it was Triangle Lab. Had not seen that. I'm gonna stick with the Goliath. Just an adapter. Cool. I'm gonna stick with the Goliath. I'm actually tempted to grab another Goliath for my Mercury 1.1. I don't know. Don't you love it when you turn around and you see your print lifting off the bed? No, I don't. But I think that's what you meant. No, I don't, but I'm pretty sure that's what you meant. Oh, damn you. The screw. I came all the way in here just to see what size screws were used on the print head fan. Oh, wait. Hardware? Yep, nope. Find in browser. Nope. Air-cooled Goliath. Yeah, so this build currently has an air-cooled Goliath. I'm going to be going to water-cooled. So what I meant by that was I want to get a water-cooled Goliath so that I can put this air-cooled Goliath in the VZ, the Mercury 1, is my thought. That's my thought. Because actually, I think I would have to buy the pieces and build my own Goliath, I think. Because there's two different ways to water cool a Goliath hot end. So anybody's not familiar with the Goliath hot end, there's two different ways to water cool it. There's one that replaces the heatsink, this heatsink here, with a water block. So it's the same length as this, but it just has a water block here instead of a heatsink. And the other option is there is an extruder, the VZ extruder, that is water cooled and has like a water block and a water channel right here above the CNC plate, just above the plate. And then the entire heatsink goes away on the Goliath, bringing the whole Goliath up, what, 25, 30 millimeters, if not more? 15 millimeters. Okay, fine. 15 millimeters. So you gain 15 millimeters of Z volume by using that one and reduces your overall weight on the tool head too. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going to be going with the one where you have the water-cooled VZ extruder, which will also sink away heat from the extruder motor. Simon's actually sending me that. He's sending me the water-cooled VZ extruder Plus. He's sending me one of the pluses that's already water cooled. And so I just need to get the adapter plate. I actually already ordered the adapter plate to convert this one to a air-cooled or a water-cooled Goliath, the shorter water-cooled Goliath. I've already ordered the pieces, but I'm just wondering if it doesn't make sense to just get a whole nother one to set up. put this air-cooled one in my Mercury 1. All right, that was the random side tangent we just went on. Can you order it? I'm curious. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this. So like, here's the Goliath page. And here's the water-cooled Goliath, which replaces the heatsink with the water block. But that's not what I want and or need. That one was all on you. We didn't distract you. Listen, most of them are all on me. But the reason I'm thinking about putting Goliath in my Mercury 1 is I already have this, which is an Ender. They have a filament cutter too. I don't have any reason for. I'm not going to be putting a box turtle on this thing or whatever. But yes, Big Tree Tech does now have a cutter for the VZ-Bot. Oh, here it is. Magneto cutter. Well, I guess Mellow has it too now. But yes, there it is. The cutter. So, I don't have any reason for it. It's neat that it exists. It's cool, but no use to me. I think I'm not remembering. Makes a lot of sense on a 235, more sense on a 330. Absolutely. 235 is too small to be putting anything that needs purge on it to me. Like, I'm going to be building a box turtle Voron 300. Voron 2.4 300. Have I shown you folks that yet on stream? I showed a picture of it on YouTube. But I did, or YouTube, Twitter. But I didn't show it on stream. As you can tell, I'm letting myself go on side tangents quite a bit today because I don't really see us making a lot of progress on this. I'm reaching the point where it's time to sit down and start wiring this build. And I hate doing that on stream. I am way too ADD to wire on stream. At least something like this, I think. So to do like a clean, nice job, I'm really going to have to sit down and like focus on it. So I don't know how much wiring we're actually going to do. But I will show you, the other night I needed a dopamine fix. So I put together a mock-up of the next Voron 2.4 build. Because my brain said, I want to see that fully like mocked up. Have you put the hotbed cable chain on yet? No. It's good to know your limitations, work within them. I try to. Thank you. Carrie, no, I haven't put the cable chain on yet. I don't see a cable chain lower mount. I must not have printed one and or didn't see it in files. So there's that. 2, I want to design a Wago mount for the bed. Because currently there isn't one. So I would just be direct wiring to the main board. So, well, you can see it back there is the cable chain mount, the existing cable chain mount, and then it needs a lower mount. But I want to put somewhere underneath the bed on the CNC frame, I want to put a Wago mount so that the bed wiring can go to disassemble this thing and have easily serviced wiring. Because I really, really, really like that. I want that on every single machine I build. But I have to design it for this because it doesn't exist currently. But next tangent, here is the next Voron 2.4 project I've been working on putting together. So this is the reason why I went to this tangent is this is going to be a 300 build. But as Carrie said, I wish this was a 350 build. I really wish I was doing wow. I had quite a few dropped frames there for a second. I think I am really taxing something. Why? Am I running out of RAM, probably? Yeah, I am maxing out the RAM on this computer. I'm at 30 gigabytes of 32 gigabytes. Sorry if I'm dropping frames. So I've really got to upgrade this computer to at least 64 gigs. Anyway, looking at this, it's a 300. I wish it was a 350, but I have a 300 kit. So, is what it is. I wish it was a 350 so I could have a purge block and still have 300 millimeters worth of build volume, but I'm not going to. So, I've got a 300 Voron 2.4. How are you doing floating Z idler mod? Acrylic panels, just for the complete the look. I just didn't modify the design files. They were 250 millimeter tall, not 300 tall, so I just didn't modify them. But gonna do stealth skirts on it. Stealth skirts on it with G2Z XL, so the Galileo or planetary gear drive Z drives. It's gonna have a ant head tool head with the leaf cutter, as they call it, the filament cutter from Heart K. So printer for ants tool head, but they have a 2020 extrusion mount for it. So I'm going to be using that on it. I'm going to use a Revo Hotend. Here's a question for you folks. Should I run beacon? Should I run a beacon probe, or should I put the PZ probe from E3D, so the Nozzle probe? Which one should I use? PZ is going to be way slower, but I've been looking for an excuse to use that on something. Yeah, so I don't know. I've been looking for an excuse to use that. I don't know. Obviously, the box turtle is going to mount on top of it. It's going to be the box turtle build. That's why it's got the filament cutter. And it's getting the Annex Engineering Z-joint, or Z-joint side pieces, or pivots here. So there's a bearing pivot point inside of there for freer moving. BFI, beefier setup there. Leviathan board, just going to be 24 volt, not going 48 volt on this. And Nevermore fan underneath there. So, yep, that's pretty much it. I'm going to close that now because this computer is taxed right now. I'm doing something very similar. Went with beacon probe for a Rapido UHF. Yeah, I don't want to go with a super high flow hot end because it just means more purge. Realistically, with a box turtle, the switching time, pulling back filament, feeding the next filament, that's going to be the slowdown. In my experience from Bamboo anyway, that's the slowdown. That's the slowest portion of multicolor printing. So like, I'm just going to go with a Revo. I like a Revo. I don't have any machines running Revo at this point, so I'm just going to put a Revo in it. I can easily swap nozzles. I really like for multicolor, for like something that's constantly switching filaments around, I really like the longer continuous heat break and nozzle. You know, it's nice, smooth transition through there. Less points for filament to get caught. So PZ looks cleaner, PZ. Okay. It's going to be slower to bed level, but I have it. I don't have a beacon for this, so there's that. No need with changer. Revo would make sense, yeah. And also, I want to have, I'm hoping that at some point they come out with a higher flow Revo. I've heard rumors, but nothing more than rumors. I've heard rumors that it's in the works. So I want to have I would like to have a platform to put that on once it exists, if it ever exists. Will it? I don't know. But okay, back to where we were. So I gotta figure out what size screws to put at this fan. Oh. I'm just gonna dig out some screws and start figuring it out. 3 mils look too big to thread into. They're right for the, no, maybe not. Yeah, they look too big. I think it's got to be 2.5 mils. There's not a lot of 2.5 mils that came with this, though. Not a lot of 2.5 millimeter screws that came with this kit. M2 screws. Oh, those look promising. There's a handful of M2 screws here. We need to talk. Oh, we also need to talk about the Bondtech tool changer. Yes, we haven't talked about that. Carrie makes a great point. How have we gotten this far in chat and we haven't talked about the new Bondtech tool changer? I guess I can. I don't have any inside information, first and foremost. So let's load that up quick. I don't have any inside information about the new Bondtech Index, they call it.
Empower your filament 3D printer. Fast procedures, wireless, and contact. Countless ways to create.
Okay. Anybody who hasn't seen that yet, figured I'd let that play. Let me mute that. So, the new Bondtech Index is a nozzle changer, kinda. So, it's a single tool head, multi-nozzle system, multi-filament path. They've got 9. This is a Voron 350, I believe they said. A Voron 2.4 350. They have 9 tool paths on. So you could have 9 colors, 9 materials on this. The Bondtech Index. So far, they have said they've put it on a Voron 2.4 and a Trident. I don't know what I will build with this. First and foremost, I need to see if I'm going to get one. Money. Yes, but no. It's not going to be cheap. I'm sure it's not going to be cheap. Like Bondtech makes nice stuff. They charge for making nice stuff. But in the same regard, you've got one tool head. So with one tool head, you only have one heater, one thermistor. You've got one fan, one extruder motor, one. All of those nozzles have 0 electronics on them. 0. There is no wiring going to any of those nozzles you see at the back of the machine. None. So that greatly reduces the expense on that side. It's similar to some of the DIY tool heads. Yeah, totally. It's like nozzle changing filament path changers exist in projects. For the Empowerment Fund, thank you, Andrew Rogers, always a star of the stream. Thank you coming through with a super chat. Super appreciated. For the Empowerment Fund. We'll use it for this build, maybe. That is the cool bit. It is the cool bit. It's really cool that it also, in my opinion, is going to greatly reduce. Like, yeah, it's not going to be cheap. I doubt it's going to be cheap. But it's going to greatly reduce the overall expense of building a tool changer. Like, I know I haven't built a tool changer to say for sure. But I know, I wish Zombie Hedgehog was here. I know he said on Twitter the other day that, like, you know, building a quality stealth changer, you're looking at a couple $1,000s. What is it? Michael from Teaching Tech is doing that Sovol stealth changer. Let me load it up real quick. I know he did a recent price update. Jack coming through with another super chat. Thank you so much, Jack Faxon, for coming through with a super chat. It is greatly appreciated. I know he had a price total, like updated price total on his build. Yep, there we go. So his Teaching Tech's Sovol SV08, which is arguably about as budget as you're going to get building a tool changer, you could do it cheaper, but he's at $1,500. 200 pounds per tool head, which is the bulk of the cost. Exactly. So he's at $1,500 currently to do a Sovol SV08 tool changer. It's only going to be 5 head. So multiplying your tool heads, your extruder motors, that stuff's just so much more. Sovol tool heads are almost $80 a piece. Yeah. And you're really not going to get much cheaper than that on any stealth changer build. Like, what's the cheapest option you can do to build a stealth changer? Probably a bamboo Hotend at like $20. A micro Sherpa extruder, so you just need a motor and a BMG gear set. You're still looking at like $30-40 there. And then printing and wiring for all that, and a fan, and part cooling fans. So you're looking, your minimum, you're still $80 to $90 per tool head. So the cost doesn't include the time expense. Andrew Rogers, another very fair point. Eric Lowe coming through with the super chat. Here's money. Thank you. So thank you very much for the support. That is quite appreciated. And an upgraded motherboard and an upgraded USB hub or CAN hub. And then just the wiring issue. And then, you know, I wonder how they'll be preheating the next tool head. Okay, let's get back to talking about the Index. Again, I don't have any inside information. All the information I'm providing to you is based off of my own speculation and information that I've gleaned from the community, what they've said. My guess on this thing, Clownhammer, welcome in. How are they heating the hot ends? My guess, induction. I think they're using an induction heater setup in this. Again, that's going to increase the cost, but it is going to drastically reduce your heat up time. Top 3 contributor to toolhead cost, extruder, hot end, toolhead board. Yep. Oh, I forgot about toolhead board. Yeah, you're right. Toolhead board. Jose, welcome in. Also, can you do different temp filaments? Yes. So you will be able to do multi-material on this. I believe they're using some type of induction heater. Because if we're looking at this, I can't enlarge the image. You know what I can do? I can do this. This I can do. So if we're looking at this, you've got these heaters with this weird little notch kind of point to them, the nozzles. So these nozzle sections that have these big copper slug to them, but like, is there a clamp? If there's a heater block, a traditional heater block and heater element, it's got a clamp around that, you know? And right above that is a heat sink for heat dissipation. So your heat break, heat sink. I think it's an induction design. I think it's got some type of minor clamp effect when it goes into it, and I think it induction heats this. Also, looking at the discoloration of it, that's telling me that it probably rapidly heats these up. Like, look at those. They're all copper, I'm certain, but they all are like slightly discolored. I think that's from rapid heat cycling. Raises questions about metal fatigue. Copper shouldn't fatigue from rapid heat and cycling, but my metallurgy is out of date. I don't remember. But so I think that's what's happening. That's how they're doing it. They're also saying that they are they want minimum ooze factor with this design. So it's got to rapidly heat. It's got to rapidly cool down. There are no nozzle stops in there to keep it from oozing while it's sitting still. So it's got to cool down rapidly. But then their tool changing looks pretty rapid. Like, switch. I don't know. You know, this isn't clearly not real world, like, yet. Showing it in operation. But like from parking one to picking up the next, there's a cut in there, so who knows how quick it actually is. I don't know. I'm very intrigued. It has CPAP, part cooling. There's no part cooling fan inside of there, so the tool head should be relatively light. And light on wiring, light on electronics. Like, I'm very interested to see where this goes. What do I build it with, if I build to it? The nozzles look AI generated. I mean, yeah, I think they look like engineering samples. I don't think this thing, I think this thing's a few months away from production because they just put out that survey asking for input on it, which tells me it's not ready for prime time yet. So, because there's still room to change if need be. I don't know. One, I need to see if I can get one. Also, space to fit heads as a 330 can only fit 5 at the moment. Yeah. Some sort of 2.4. Okay. If I do 2.4, it would have to be a 350, I think. Or could be interesting to do 250 and see how many tool heads you can fit into a 250. That's kind of an interesting concept. Go the other way with it. With the 350, you can just max out at 9 tool heads, but if they need beta testers, I'm in. Yeah. I worry about the fact that I don't have a nozzle plug for the tools. Unless it can heat up, cool down in 3 seconds, there'll be oozing problem with PETG. And that's one of the things we need to see. Definitely one of the things we need to see. They're claiming they will, but I don't know. Convert your 400. I mean, there is the 400. Could be interesting. 300 frame, 250 bed. Yeah, I mean, we could do a... Yeah. I was aiming to do that with another project sort of concept, but Good morning from down under. It's 4:15 a.m. Oof, welcome in, Jeff. Again, I don't have any inside info. Everything I've got is just like what I've picked up off of their Discord. They do have a Discord where they've been like hinting at things, but they can't give you too much information. They're claiming the goal is to reduce oozing and rapid heat up. So I'm curious how they're achieving that. What I think I can say, it's not 100% final, but I should be seeing it in person in May. At HQ, I guess. I guess I can say that. Fuck it. They're having the grand opening in May of their new plant, their new factory, and I'm aiming to be there. So, for the grand opening party. So, yeah. And I will get a chance to see this firsthand if and when I get there. So, that's as soon as I know I'll get to look at it, because I'm not going to get to it's lava heated and nitrogen cooled. There we go. You figured it out. And we should see a little purge, just psh, quench as it goes. Error. What was that? Whatever. I'm very curious to see what this is gonna do, where it's going from here. I think it has a lot of potential, and I'm interested to see how it comes together and what they can achieve with this setup. And tempted, very, very tempted to build one. We'll see. When are you going? The grand opening. They've announced the grand opening is sometime in May. Like first, second week of May, I think. And their headquarters is in Sweden. So, nitrogen cooled is the next VZ-bot. We just flood the chamber with nitrogen. To quench our prints. Yeah, their headquarters is in Sweden. So. Oh, they are a Swedish company. That's why some people have been like, well, why is like the language choices and blah, blah, blah. It's because they're Swedish. They're not English speakers. Need someone to carry gear or promise to be quiet. Nope. If I was taking anybody, it'd be Ruby, and I don't think I'll be taking her, unfortunately. Brian, coming through with the super chat. Thank you very much for the support, Brian. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the support. It's appreciated. Okay, where were we at with this? Maybe we can actually work on a VZ-bot today. I don't know. For the BTT fund, so you can just buy it. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, that is the holdup. Like, I keep saying I want to build one of these, but it really comes down to, one, what does it cost if I have to buy it? And two, can I get one? Can I just be like, hi, cool. I want to build one, please. There's no guarantee. You know, maybe. Maybe they'll go for that. Maybe not. Okay, I need screws for this fan. I don't see any screws that are gonna work. I'll throw on a wig and some lipstick. Ruby doesn't wear lipstick, so you'd be found out immediately. And you'd have to make a custom split dye wig. There's a whole thing to this. And tattoos. Like, can't be seen with me and not be covered in tattoos. Like, that just wouldn't. It's a whole process. It's like a special effects department to get this done. All right, I don't see. Oh. Nope, those are threes. I don't see M2 screws for this. So I'm gonna have to dig into my own hardware, I think. It's entirely possible that I'm just missing. Like, it's entirely possible this came with the screws that I need, but I'm missing them at this point. You can reduce oozing with a long retract on tool change. Then you can deal with farting with a negative extra length you may be possible without a nozzle plug. Yeah? Oozing is still hard to... That's a little hard to do, but that is doable. That's not a bad point. All right, I'm looking for screws currently. I need M2s for this. I need some M2.5s. I know I have them. The ever-present, I know I have that, but where? I know I have that, but where? 4s, 2s, 2.5, washers, 5s, got a whole lot of 5s. Fives, 4, 5, 2x16? I wanted 2.5s. I know I have them. I just don't see them. I find it funny that as soon as the H2D was leaked, Bondtech released their game-changing system. That's a point. Exactly this. It'll be a game changer though, and could affect the new Bamboo. Oh, okay. Yes and no. Bamboo's market is people who don't want to build a machine. That's Bamboo's market, you know? Like, so yes, those of us who are willing to build a machine but would buy a machine too, this may sway people. I wish I could get more info before the H2D release for that fact. But yeah, I don't know. I think the core market for the H2D, I don't know who the core market for the H2D is, honestly. Like, looking at all the leaks, I don't understand the product. I don't get it. I do not understand multi-machines. Like, I do. At a base level, I understand multi-machines, like, you know, all-in-ones, you know, laser. So what do we know so far, supposedly, on the H2D? Drag knife, laser, 3D printer with multi-nozzle, and AMS. But Bamboo has freaking lasers, yeah. What about the old saying, do one thing well or several things not so well? I mean, and that's what it comes down to, is multi-machines just, they're never going to do everything well. Maybe they'd be a good 3D printer and everything else will be meh. So, like, that's interesting, I guess. And a price that puts it out of most people's reach. It's also going to be an expensive machine. It's going to be a very expensive machine. I think it's going to be a lot more expensive than people think it's going to be. I'm really interested to see how it's going to go with the whole, like, I think a lot of folks are going to be real sticker shocked by it and real upset because they kind of view Bamboo as like some disruptive, cheap option on the market when they're just not. Like, I mean, they are, but how much so is the question. Dang it! These 2.5s are too short. I know I have 2.5 screws here, but I don't know where they are. My box of hardware, they're not there. Are they with Raspberry Pi type stuff? Those are terminals. These are terminals. Dang it! I don't have freaking hardware for these for this fan. What hardware am I supposed to use for this stupid fan? For the money, XL looks like a much better investment. I don't have to worry about the ability to repair it. Josh Kane, moving is fun. Yeah, for the next 2 years, you have no idea where anything is, and you end up just buying it again. I think a lot of people will wait for the cut down version, just like the P1. I think you're entirely correct. I think an H2P or a P2 is going to be a bigger deal. The age of shipping them across the globe cheaper than it could be made next door is near the end, IMO. It's a nice thought, Vinny, but I don't think that's at all correct. Because the age of cheaper to ship it across the globe than make it next door, tariffs aren't going to reduce prices. We're not going to make H2D in America cheaper than we can get it from China, even plus shipping, tariffs, blah, blah, blah. Not because Chinese competition, but because corporate America. Corporations are never going to let things be cheap. If you got an H2D, let's say for whatever sake, is $3,000, and in America we can make it and sell it for $2,000, why would we? If a company in America could make it for $2,000, sell it for $2,000, why would they when the Chinese one would be $3,000? They would sell it for $2,800. It'd still be cheaper than the Chinese one, made in America, and they'd make an extra $800. Prices are never coming down. Corporations focused on capitalist stockholder greed are never going to reduce prices if they don't have to. That's it. So like you can tariff the hell out of things and bring manufacturing back to the US, but it's not going to make anything cheaper. Ever. Unless you put restrictions on companies and price control. And that's a whole fucking thing. That would mean not paying people a living wage. Also, the market would run out quickly. There's that too. There's that, you know. Sorry, I don't want to get too like political tangent concept on it, but like that's the reality of it. Is the world we live in today, there's no incentive for a company to make things cheap. There isn't. The only incentive that exists is to keep prices up. Manufacturing in the US can't come back quickly no matter what. I'm not thinking anything outside of China. It's just the government subsidies there is not as it used to be. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean like government subsidies in China are headed down. Like things are fucking weird. Not enough manufacturing engineers anymore. Yeah, I mean there's also the Andrew Rogers is also the factory out concept. Like okay, we impose tariffs today. Well, if you want to build 3D printers in the US, that means you're gonna have to build a factory to build 3D printers in. That's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. You know, look at all these chip factories, TSMC and everything. They're taking years to build those things because it takes years to build those things. There has to be competition for price to come down, but when you corner the supply chains, you don't have to worry about competition. Yeah. Yeah. This is accurate. Damn it. Where are these screws? I just want to put the fan on this thing. Unless I'm missing something here. There's M2. There they are. They're in the very bottom of the box. The very bottom of this hardware box is what I was looking for. Prusa got it. Prusa got it through printed solid. Bam. A little birdie. A big birdie told me that Prusa could move manufacturing to the US in a matter of months. If need be. Not that they're intending to do that, but if need be, they could do it. And didn't they want to ban 3D printers due to pew-pews? There's been various legislations about that. Like I'm just using 3D printers as a relevant example to us. The new chip fab in Arizona being built about 5 minutes north of where I used to live. There are all kind of issues getting that up and running. Oh yeah, they've been having labor issues, like getting qualified people, not wanting to train them. They've been wanting to bring in visa holders to run it. Like, yeah, New York wants to do background checks. That was the law. That was the most recent one. Okay, M2.5s feel like the perfect size for this. M2.5 tens is what I'm putting in here for this fan. All that, the kit did not come with M2.5 tens. I don't see them anywhere. So I just had to make it happen. I have a solution. Chinese factories would close up and move here. It's called freedom. No tariffs, no borders, no copyright patents, anything else to protect monopolies. A real free market. That would be competition. That would be competition. I don't think I agree with it, but is the big bird named Nomad? No, it is 100% not named Nomad. That is not anybody who works at Printed Solid. I promise you that information did not come from any of them. Nobody yell at those folks. They didn't leak anything. I swear. Came from a little higher up the food chain. All right. Getting these cables for this Hotend, like, whew. They're not fun. Does this get hot out here? I don't even know. Well, initials JP. Is it one of the llamas? It's one of the llamas. Yeah, definitely one of the llamas. Definitely one of the llamas. You got it. What's hitting? Something's hitting. Huh. Okay. Oh, okay. That's my fault. I was just trying to see if the X switch... Who's higher than the Pope? I was trying to see if the X switch would hit the end stop before anything else, but it does not currently. I need to adjust it. The 3D printing god that the 3D printing Pope reports to. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work, isn't it? That's the way it should work, isn't it? Well, we're going on way too many tangents. Okay, cool. End stop switch. Have you shown the modded filter fans? I did a little bit last stream, I feel like, but I have updated final blah, blah, blah. So I might as well carry. I don't have the grate printed yet, the grill, so we can't install it right now. I keep forgetting to print it, but I can show you the pieces. So the upgraded filter assembly. So the filter assembly for this, let me adjust this camera a little bit and get a better perspective. Okay. We'll know for the orange smoke the new JP has ascended. I wonder how many people print Vorons on Bamboo X1 instead of a Voron. That's a question. That's definitely a question. I don't know. Okay, so everything behind behind the rear panel of this thing for the filter assembly, I modified every piece. So directly behind there, we get directly behind the assembly, we get this. So this is the housing spacer where the 60mm fans fit inside of. And I put some just locating lugs on it. That's what's changed about this one. God, this blows out on this camera. So actually, well, there we go. So fans mount to this. This is very, very similar to the stock setup for the VZ-235 right here. Minor modification there. But here's the star of the show. So the star of the show here is that this housing, which used to house the HEPA filter and charcoal filter, but dump all the heat out of the chamber. So this has a divider wall down the middle of it now. Not this, that's a divider wall top and bottom, but down there you can see a divider wall in the middle of this. So airflow comes up one side, has to hit a wall, unfortunately, like getting it to really nicely. It is curved inside of here to guide the air, but there's only so much I can do. But basically it's a big basket and it's a bunch of hex. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this, probably on the tail air. There you go. There's the inside of the basket. So it's a ton of hex holes, small enough to pour and fill this basket with charcoal. And then you've got divider wall down the middle, and the divider wall from top and bottom is just so when this is installed, because it installs like this, it's just so when it's installed, all the charcoal doesn't fall to the very bottom. There'll be charcoal up in this top half and the bottom half. And yeah, a little V basket that it sits in. And there's your perspective from the fans. So my intention, my thought with this, it's hard to tell, but this here is shaped like that. It's a radius to guide air. So my intention is one fan blows in, the other fan blows back into the chamber, and just run them both at like 25%. Just enough to get air to cycle through here, but not enough to like be blowing into the chamber with this fan. So that's my thought. And that's the intention of the design. And then there's a back cover that uses some M3 heat inserts. So when you need to change the carbon, you remove the M4 screws here that will hold this housing to the fan housing. Take this out of your machine, you pop this back cover off, there's your charcoal, you pour it out, you pour new charcoal into here, put the cover back on, and mount this back to the machine. So that is the intention, the design, etc. Is this camera zoomed in? A little bit. Not much. So that's it. I also made a TPU fan gasket just to try and isolate some vibration noise. I don't know if I'm going to... I don't think the final version will have that. I think this is just going to be it. But that's the idea. That's the design. So, yeah. Here's the full... Let me grab the full stack. Stack it up and show you. Yeah, there's the full stack. So it's like 50, 60 millimeters deeper. It's like 50, I think it's like 50 millimeters deeper than the original, because I needed it deeper to give a airflow path for air to make the turn inside of here, because like air is coming in one side and going out the other, and it's just a very abrupt angle if I didn't add some depth to it. So that gave me the depth to create the basket and allow and duct airflow to travel around this. Obviously it's only for VZ-235, as 330 only has a single larger fan. This has dual 60 millimeters that will go in here. I feel like you probably could get away with like only running one fan. So it's going to come with like a dummy fan for the other side, a 3D printed dummy. So if you wanted to only run one fan blowing in or pulling air through, like, I don't know. But these files will be released soon. I just want to fully install them and try it before I release files. That's all. I don't like releasing files till I've had a chance to test them. If somebody has a VZ and wants to print that, maybe hit me up on Discord and I can get you the files. I'll give them to somebody if you want to test it, but with the express understanding that they are beta. But then they will be released sometime soon, probably on printables. Okay. Yeah. So what did we do today? We got a Goliath installed. A heat break in the Goliath. So far. Look and see where we're at, what I'm missing. Top side doors. We're basically at panels and wiring time. Having reasonable air cleaning has always been a challenge. Yeah, I'd like to have a HEPA filter in there, but it would have to get bigger to have a HEPA filter in there, and that's just getting a bit much at that point. My goal was charcoal, because I personally plan to run ASA and ABS in this machine most of the time. So I want to maintain chamber temperature by not dumping air to the outside air, but still scrub with charcoal. So that was my main focus and where we ended up. Okay. Oh boy. Thermistor wire is kind of like tangled in here a little bit. Run this back to here. And all this is just running to the back. All right. I don't think we're going to make it a full 3 hours today, both with how ADD I am, but also I need to get a video finished for today, which means I need to get over to Blackthorn and work some more so I can finish that project and then thus get you folks a video. Oh, that's lovely. I'm looking at this wire and going, is there only a single lead to the thermistor? No, the thermistor wire pulled out. One of the thermistor wires pulled out when I was just like looping it through here. Joy. I'm not getting that back in there. Yay, I need a new thermistor. BRS-CF80 has both, but it's huge. BRS-CF80. I've heard of BRS Engineering, yeah. Yeah, BRS Engineering. That's a neat looking setup, yeah. Oh, okay, so they do a lot of rat rig stuff, don't they? Maddie, not sure. Do my chats come through? Yeah, they're coming through. I haven't seen any previously, but they're coming through right now. I don't know if I missed any. That's an interesting design. So it's got this charcoal center section. Does it? I don't understand. I don't fully understand what I'm looking at here. Goliath thermistor is a known issue, unfortunately. Get it from Triangle Lab. Cool. Oh, lovely. I just suddenly heard a whole bunch of noise. I'm like, what's going on out there? Is somebody pulling in my driveway? No, it's rain. Yay. I've got to work outside today. I see the price. That's all I needed to see. Yeah, BRS, their stuff is not cheap. Their stuff is not cheap, but they got some interesting things going on. 3D Medic Vince, welcome in. Yeah, BRS's stuff is not cheap, and but BRS also has, I haven't looked at their website in a little bit. Do they have anything new? They've got vCore 4 upgrade parts, which are so like vCore 4 kit? No, vCore 4 mods. There we go. vCore 4 mods. The website's terrible. But they've got this, I think, is it ball screws for the X they've got? I swear they had more stuff, but These are like gear reduction Z drives with looks like ball screws. $552 Z upgrade for, oh wait, $574 for a, yeah, it's ball screws. So it's ball screws. I forget if these are machined arms. They have wobble X's in each pivot point. Gear reduction, well, gear reduction, belt drive reduction, gear reduction for the Z drives. Like wild stuff, but almost $600 for this for my 500. And you have to drill a couple of extra holes in your bottom plate. Like, it's interesting, but whew, salty. Salty, salty, salty. I guess that was a passing rainstorm. Yeah, it's pretty wet outside, looking at my camera right now, but whatever. All right, so we got a Goliath heat break in. What else can we get done right now? Gotta get a thermistor. I'll do that right after stream. That sucks. That sucks. Well, so that's going to delay getting this going. I was hoping to have this going sooner rather than later, but search that real quick just so I have it pulled up and I can remember. So I can remember to look at that. Okay. Honestly, next step is wiring. And like I said, I don't think I want to do that on stream. I think we may end up calling it here, folks. It's only a little over a 2-hour stream. I usually aim for 3 hours, but I also need to get to Blackthorn so I can get a video out today on Mandagrilly. So, yeah. I wonder if I can pull up the Blackthorn camera right now on... Yeah, I don't see it. I have to figure out how to be able to pull up the Blackthorn camera on the web remotely. I know I can do it from my phone easily enough. Anything else you folks wanted to chat about? Anything else interesting going on? I mean, we've talked a little bit about Index, a little bit about H2D. Yeah, motion 9 minutes ago. Oh, out on the street. Okay. The camera can see through the window so you can see motion on the street. Where can I get Ender 5 Plus linear rail upgrade? Why linear rail upgrade? There's I know there's a bunch on AliExpress, but does TB Strawn? We'll let you go if Jean takes over. Yeah, well, I don't know where Jean is right now. She's off doing her own thing, so I unfortunately can't do that. Does TB Strawn have them? No. Linear rails for Ender 3. You had one on printables a while ago. That was an X-axis. I never had it on printables. I had it on Thangs, maybe. I don't think I ever released... Did I ever release mine? I don't think I did, because I didn't like it. I was never a fan of my own design. Any printer.cfg QGL tips to make it more reliable and less tries? What probe are you using, Jack? What do you think H2D price will be? Same as the X1C, or would it be near the X1E? I think it'll be higher than the X1E. There's zero reason it won't be higher than the X1E. It has every feature of the X1E except for maybe support. And it has active chamber heating, dual nozzle, AMS, blah. It's going to be a $3,000 machine. I can't see it being any less than $3,000 for the base unit. Then if you want laser and all the accessories, I think you're probably closer to $4,000. Yeah. That's something people missed. When they first announced it 6 months ago or whatever they did, they said it was going to be above all their other machines. They worded it in a very strange, in a weird way, but effectively they said it'll be above all their current machines, which to me took also meant the X1E. And the X1E is a $2,600 printer. I mean, this is all pure speculation. I have no information. Are you getting one to test? I haven't talked to Bamboo since before the move. 9 months, close to a year. So yeah. Do you think it's going to be a replacement for the X1C or a different branch? Different branch. It's just going to be a different branch. It's just going to be the next level up. It doesn't make sense for them to like get rid of that level of machine. Aaron, hey, how goes it? Tired? Got to get a video finished. Got to head out real soon, but we're just chatting, hanging out. Where did you learn Fusion? I'm solely self-taught. I just started. How I learned Fusion was I started doing things, playing around with things, and every time I ran into a problem I couldn't figure out, I Googled it. I maybe watched a segment of a YouTube video or a bit of a blog, and then kept moving until I ran to the next thing. I've chatted a few times. It seems like they haven't come through. Yeah, Maddie, the last chat I saw from you was you asking if your chat was coming through. Sorry. That was the last chat I saw. Bamboo is busy doing stealth advertising for automotive YouTubers. Okay, yeah, some inside baseball. Pure speculation on my part. Bamboo doesn't care about 3D printers anymore. And I don't mean that in the like screw you people way. I mean, they don't care about 3D printing content creators. They're mainly focused currently on makers, woodworkers, automotive folks, trying to branch out the market. They know they have the 3D printing market. Why would they care? Bamboo have no need for a new hobby printer. Yeah, they've got the A series, they got the P series, the X1. They don't really need to make another machine in our market. They're looking to get maybe more to like industrial professional market, and it shows in like their focus. You know, they're sending printers to woodworkers. I watch a handful of woodworkers I know have gotten them. Maker type folks outside of the 3D printing space. We are very niche market nerds. Yes. At the end of the day, and just again, another like business talk for you, business thing for you. That's why Mandic really isn't this channel anymore. Like realistically, Mandic Labs right now, this channel where we're talking, is what Mandic really was 2 years ago. But the reason that they are separate channels now, and the reason that Mandic really is what it is now, is because we're a niche market. And I saw the writing on the wall of like, if I only made videos about like Goliath hot ends and, you know, wiring up custom 3D printers, if I only made that content, I could only grow so much. And I would only pay my bills so much. There are only so many people interested in that. You know, the biggest YouTubers in the 3D printing space are Joel, 3D printing nerd, who's a bit of a generalist. I mean, zero offense by that. He just kind of covers like the surface level of a lot of things when it comes to 3D printing. He dives deeper on plenty of topics, but not like my videos. I have to hold myself back from diving too deep on things. And Maker Muse. Maker's Muse is the biggest 3D printing YouTuber. And he, again, is a bit of a generalist in that he like talks engineering and robots, and he's 3D printer focused, but like still wide net within that. So like I saw that if I want to sustain my business long term, I kind of have to go wider and bigger. I'm dying for custom 3D printer content. Say, make a 3D printer from scratch, putting kits together really isn't the same thing. I get that, but it's also extremely time intensive to do that. Like, Mike, I would love to do a video like that. Like, let's design a 3D printer from scratch. It would take months to create that video. And even if it gets 200,000 views, it will not pay for itself. It's a hard thing to do and justify as a business, because at the end of the day, I have to make a living. I was doing market research for opening a 3D print hobby shop makerspace, and in order to succeed, you unfortunately have to focus more generalist instead of super detailed. Love the art. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Fourth time, seems like Bondtech really likes my concept. Well, I saw that. Yeah, Bondtech is definitely... I mean, there's a couple of... Maddie, were you one of the ones making one of the filament path hotend or nozzle changer setups? Because, yeah, quite a few... a couple of folks that were trying that, and clear that they liked the idea. Even if you did design a printer from scratch, you have to need to find a way to make it unique and have it fill a gap in need. Yeah, and really the gap in need market is like, from my perspective currently, the gaps in the market when it comes to custom printers, like custom DIY build-it-yourself printers, the gaps in the market are ultra budget, which there's not a huge gap there. Rook, even Voron Zero, like there are smaller, lower Ender 3 NG. Like there are budget options. There are budget options. So, but that's still a bit of a market that has some space. And then the ultra top. The mid market, the mid area of DIY printers is pretty saturated. So yeah. Funny enough, I'm more interested in what I can do with a 3D printer than the machine itself, said the guy who designed a tool changer. I mean, yeah, you're probably reaching that point where like, given the topic of branching out, loving some of your recent home lab, home server, and networking videos. Awesome. Watch Dr. D-Flow's video on his custom pellet extruder, $20,000 and over a year of tuning and changing things. Yeah, and it's still And his channel, like, I enjoy his content. It's definitely not for everybody. He has 152,000 subscribers. Where's his last video about his big printer? His last video about, yeah, Dr. D-Flow. His last video about his big 3D printer has a $20,000 extruder on it. It has 48,000 views. I mean, that's not sustainable business-wise. If you wanted to do this full-time, I think he has a job. I don't think he's not a full-timer. Like his video before that, 280,000 views. The one before that, 800,000 views. But he's posted less videos in the last 2 years than I have in the last 6 months. So like, it's hard. None of this stuff's easy. Open Builds and Duet supplied most of the parts for it. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not costing him $20,000. That extruder was provided. He didn't buy that. But like, he had to design everything that goes around it and test and tune and make it work and troubleshoot and blah blah blah. It's a lot. It's all a lot. This like, and I know I've said this numerous times. Full transparency, blah blah blah. Like, I'm not making good money right now. I barely make ends meet, and arguably don't most of the time. And I haven't paid myself out of my business since the move. I have not paid myself since the move. Like, stuff's not easy. It's not. It looks glamorous, and I have a lot of fun, and I love what I do, and I am not complaining. But it ain't easy to make it work. Don't people realize how much work full-time YouTubers have to do for years before making real profit? Totally. D-Flow has some kind of an odd vibe that I don't get. Yeah, I don't get the presentation style and whatever. What was your former job? I was a custom car builder. Fabricator building custom cars. So I built and modified cars. So restorations, customization, resto mods, hot rods, street rods. That's what I did. I built cars. So worked in restoration jobs. I didn't make much money doing that either. I've never made much money in my life, quite honestly, in my perspective. And you know, I'm definitely a do what you love, not what makes you the most money kind of person. So like, he's a full-time engineering professor. Yeah. Dr. D-Flow, that is. Yeah. Are those Snap-on boxes in the background? No, those are Cobalt boxes. Each of those two are Cobalt boxes. I have 2 Matco boxes over there, and a Snap-on. I have three boxes on the other side of the studio. 2 Matcos and a Snap-on. And then these are Cobalts, because I was not spending $8,000 on printers or printer stands. I'm a wannabe engineer. I knew a restoration guy in upstate New York. This was decades ago. Specialty was AMC cars. The guy made no money. Wife was always pissed at him. Poor guy. Yeah. I will say, if you want to make money in restoration, AMC ain't it. So there's a double-edged sword there, both being in restoration. Okay, there's a triple threat. Restoration in upstate New York, where the cost of living is low and incomes are low, and AMC, which are cheap cars in the scheme of things. They're coming around now, but AMCs were never... That ain't the way to make money, that's for sure. I thought you might have been a tool truck driver. I did that at one point. Actually, Steve, you actually hit the nail on the head there. I was a Matco guy for about 2 or 3 years in my early 20s. So for a short period of time, I was a Matco guy. That's kind of where my presentation style probably originates from. But yeah, I only did that for a couple of years. It was not for me. And then I went back to working on cars in the custom car world. I started as a mechanic. I was an auto tech at a dealership. Got out of dealership life, went to selling tools on a tool truck. That life wasn't for me. Got out of that, got into the custom car world, and that's where I was till I started doing this. I knew it. You should have been a Snap-on guy. I like Matco. I was actually the most money I ever was a tool guy. That was the most successful business I've ever run. It was the most money I ever made. It just wasn't for me. Like, the business was successful. I could probably still be making good money doing it. I'm not a people person. And dealing with 200 people every single week, week after week, was just soul sucking for me. This type of interaction, I can do. That type of interaction was too much. What's the point of designing a printer with $20,000 tool head? It's not for the general public. I mean, that's purely a you can do it thing.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Being a Snap-on guy isn't all it's cracked up to be either. I mean, yeah, Snap-on is hard on their distributors. Snap-on is like real hard on their distributors from everything I know from the outside. I knew you had some hands-on experience because no other YouTuber has Milwaukee tools. Yep. I also grew up in the trades. My dad was a contractor, so I grew up on job sites. Funny, my dad, as a professional contractor, buys Craftsman and Porter cable tools. I despise his power tools. He always has been of the opinion he's going to drop it, he's going to break it. Why should he invest in the more expensive thing? Whereas I'm like, yeah, but if you invest in the more expensive thing, it doesn't break when you drop it as often. Like, yeah, it might break, but I've dropped my Milwaukee tool from my Milwaukee drills from 20 feet up and they didn't break. Oh, eh. Now that the weather's looking better, I'm looking to get back to the project car. I'm looking forward to seeing you make progress on that, Aaron. I was like, I didn't want to bug you, be like, hey, you made any progress on that? But I've been curious because I understand, why you probably haven't made much progress, both the nature of car projects and weather. Game designer cosplaying a hobbyist engineer, Eric. I cosplay as an engineer, and that's where my background as a fabricator comes in. I like my stupid homeowner DIY grade Ryobi garbage. That's fine. If you like it, awesome. Like, nope, more power to you. Like, I don't judge people for using what they use. Use whatever works for you. I'm spoiled by the fact, for me, it's the once you've experienced the high quality tools, it's hard to go back to lower quality tools. It's not that the lower quality tools are really that much worse. It's just that I'm used to this level of performance. I just can't, like, this level pisses me off at this point. Is kind of the best way to put it. I've got a Mark IV's kit new in box. Should I buy it, build it, or sell it in favor of a Core 1 kit? Ooh, that's a hard question. I would try and sell it for as much as you can. Dodge Charger. I would try and sell it for as much as you can. Give it a shot. Like, don't sell it cheap. Put it out there for $800-900. Well, maybe not that. Put it out there for as much as you can get. You think you might be able to get for it. And if it doesn't sell, build it. Like, I still like the Mark IV. My Mark IV's is over here on the floor right now. But I've been using it lately. It's just where it landed because I'm out of space to put printers at the moment. Harbor Freight's come a long way, but I love my Mac tools. The Harbor Freight Icon line is surprisingly good. I was there when they launched that at SEMA. It's a surprisingly good line. And I find myself buying Harbor Freight tools more these days than I used to. But it's usually things I don't use on a regular basis. My hammer drill. We were talking about the hammer drill earlier. I need to go drill through concrete. That's a Harbor Freight hammer drill. I use a hammer drill a dozen times a year. For a tool I use that infrequently, it's fine. Will the Milwaukee one be nicer? Absolutely. Is it worth it? No. Question on video making. Have you ran into a need for a NAS yet? Vinny, I've got 3. Actually, I did a video on this channel showing my home lab where I showed all of my NASs. So my most recent video on Mandic Labs is actually a walkthrough of my home lab server rack, which shows the NAS setups. And a couple of videos ago on Mandic Really, I did a NAS setup. So I currently edit my videos. Here on a UNAS Pro from Ubiquiti on my network over 10 gigabit networking. So I live an hour away from Harbor Freight and the Mac guy comes to me, and that is a big deal. And honestly, that's part of the problem is I would probably still buy more Matco tools or whatever, but I don't have a Matco guy who comes here. And I also don't want to start that, you know? I don't want to be like, hey, come to my house, my studio, you know? So, Even John Malecki's content as a American Tools fascinates me. Carrie, I don't know that content to know. You all have so much stuff. We do have so much stuff. We have too much stuff, probably. American consumerism, yay. But me, I'm so spoiled by having the right tool for the job. Right? Having the right tool for the job makes your life so much easier. And there's so much to be said for it that I often stop myself from getting to the job, waiting for the tool, which then could have gotten the job done with stuff. Like, it's cart before the horse, the time wasted here, time wasted there, I don't know. As somebody who used to sell tools, used to use tools for a profession, for a living, I'm addicted to tools, but I'm also addicted to finding the easiest way to do the job. And often that is like the right tool for the job situation. I don't know. Just like I have too many printers, I have too many tools, and that's not going to change. Ruby's encouraged me to sell tools numerous times. It's never going to happen. And I think for entirely valid reason, and my argument to her is always this: tools don't sell for anything. Used tools, while they're a hot market and everybody wants to buy used tools, nobody wants to pay for used tools. What is this sell tools you speak of? Yeah. Nobody pays for used tools. So, okay, I sell off half of my tools. I'm not going to get tens of thousands of dollars selling off half of my tools that I paid for them originally. I've got a house worth of tools, and that is not an exaggeration. I've done the math before. I could have bought a small house for how much I have in tools. But then I sell tools for 25 to 40% of what I paid for them. Okay. The next time I need one, I got to buy it again. Even if I buy a cheap one, I'm still not ahead of the game. Tools don't go bad, so there's no reason to keep them. Yeah. And the minute you sell it, you'll need it. There's that. And then you'll need them and have to buy one later. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, I've moved tools. I've got tools in my dad's place in North Carolina. I've got tools here that I don't touch. But like, when I need them, I can have my dad mail it to me from North Carolina. I can grab it here. And every once in a while, I need that dial indicator, that torque wrench, that inch-pound torque wrench, that rolling torque wrench. Like, no sell, only buy. Grandfather told me years ago, never sell tools, use them to make the money. Yep, I agree. But spent too much on them, but I get it. All right, we just crossed the 2.5 hour mark. We extended this another 30 minutes just chatting. So thank you folks for entertaining my day a little bit before I have to dive back into work, but I have to dive back into work now. I got to go drill a hole. Let me see if I can find a drill bit real quick. I think they're right here. Uh-oh. They're not where I thought they were. That's going to be a question of where the heck, what the heck. All right. Well, I got to figure out where my longer SDS bits are. I could have brought a brand new Corvette for what I have in tools and boxes I have. Yeah. I hope you don't get too wet. Thank you. Looks like, sounds like the rain passed, but I don't know. We shall see. So, all right, folks, I'm going to jet. I got to head out, go get a video finished. Hopefully, there'll be a new video on Mandic really yet today. It might have to be till tomorrow at this rate, but hopefully there'll be a new video today yet. So, thanks for the stream. Thanks for hanging out with me. We took 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So we have a heat break. It's no longer a Bluetooth heat break in the Goliath, but now I need a thermistor. Yay. Everybody has tools they don't use. There's got to be a tool share or something. I mean, the tool shares exist. They're usually community-based, not so much me sharing my tools. The problem is people who own a lot of tools are very possessive about their tools. So, like, yeah. So, all right, folks. Thanks for coming around. Thanks for hanging out. Domino is under the bench. Let's get a domino cam going for our outro. I'll bring up this so we can actually see her. Camera angle change. She's like, what's going on? What's happening, Dad? There we go. All right, folks, I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for coming around. See ya.
We came